So good morning, class. And last week between the last week and this week, I gave you a video to watch, and that was explaining how we select um theories in IS research. And I hope you have watched it because the only thing I'll do is just answer questions based on that. That's if you have got a problem. But what I'll do today is I'll continue from where I left off in the video to explain other things concerning how to select theories in the IS research. So I'll look into how theories are selected in part two of it, and then how there's some of the theories in IS research. That's what I'll be doing. I'm still looking at chapter 5 and parts of it. I think now we have gone beyond chapter 1. So if you have got the documents, you can be looking at it. Okay, so what we concluded in the last session, I talked about the fact that when I sent to you on, I think, Monday or Sunday, I explained that by the time you end up trying to select a theory, you need to understand that the theory is linked to the concept you are trying to study, or should be linked to the concept you are trying to study, or should be relevant to the concept you are trying to study. So whenever you are starting your long essay and you have a concept you are trying to study, you should ask yourself, are there any existing theories or conceptual frameworks that have been used to study that particular concept or phenomena before? So when you are looking into the previous literature, you should check whether how have there been previous attempts to address the same issue? What theories did they use? That can be a guiding point. Number two, those ones that exist that have been used, were there some critiques of them that you can know or you can find? And if there are critiques for those ones, does your work give it can your work become an opportunity for you to address that critique so that you can do that through your research area or context or even the given data that you have? Then again, um, you could also look at it from the discipline that you belong to. The discipline, the discipline that you belong to that you are doing your research in, for example, in this class is information systems. Are there any existing theories that can also help address the concept? Because when you take a concept like motivation, which can be, depending on what you are doing, it could be, you could draw theories from motivational theories from human resource. You can draw theories from psychology. You can also look at theories that combine um, um, concepts from psychology and then technology. So sometimes a particular discipline or area may have existing theories that can help you to examine what you're trying to study. So that could be. Then all the three that you have seen there, do you really understand the components of that existing theory, their constructs, their propositions and logic and assumptions? Can you measure them in your study? And then do you have sample questions or items? So don't just select the theory. Ask what are the sample questionnaires that others have used to study to conduct a research on that particular theory. What are the sample measurement items? We'll talk about that one next week. So the number 4 will be next week. So what today I'll do is to just delve into number 1, 2, and 3 very well. But to arrive at here, I did a detailed explanation in that video or what is a concept and how does it link with the phenomenon and how does it link with all the other things that you try to do. Okay. And I also talked about how theories are developed in that one. Okay. Okay. That's the one that you try to do an assignment with, which some of you deviated. I hope now that you have watched the video, you can. I was expecting some of you to be bold enough to revise your earlier submission and send something better. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. So the dominant approaches for selecting theory, you can see 3 of them. Like I mentioned, that the first one is about the concept of phenomenon selection strategy. The second one is the conflicts in the theory or weaknesses in the theory. The third one is the discipline area you belong to. Now, sometimes people do all the 3 combined, and others also try to pick one of them and use. Whichever one you use, at the end of the day, it has to be relevant to the work you are carrying out. So you have to think about it carefully. Don't just say that you are doing it, but which of them are you going to use, and does it have a link to what you are trying to do? Okay. So we'll take to the first one, selection of theory based on concept of phenomenon selection. Now, every phenomenon you want to do a research on there's potential theories that have been postulated in literature concerning that particular theory. So there's adoption theories and it depends on what type of adoption. There's technology adoption theories. There's behavioral theories, which is from psychology, or technology behavioral theories. You can add that one. There's organizational theories, organizational learning theories. There are consumer behavior theories. There are strategy-based theories. And some of you may have, those of us who are doing strategy for business analytics. I think you saw that this week we talked about resource-based theory. We also talked about the value chain analysis, and we talked about isolating mechanisms, which is also part of the resource-based theory. So these were all strategy-based theories that we examined this week, but it's part of theories that we can also use to do an information systems research. Okay. Then there are technology-specific theories, which means that theories that are developed to address technological artifacts or challenges or even related research. But doesn't mean that somebody cannot apply adoption-related research to any of this. You can apply that. Now, so the approach to handling this is to just go to Google, type the concept that you are going to do the research on, and add the word theory. And you can see so many types of theories that this are used. It doesn't mean that they are the best theory, but it's just Google is just trying to just map out what exists already for you to have an idea. Okay. So let me just do a simple check on that. Dr. Bano, you have joined us. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, so this is what so I have a blank work here, and Dr. Bano did his PhD on cybercrime. So he can just type cybercrime theories. And then one of the common ones that is used is what we call rational choice theory. That's what you see up there. Maybe some of you can see. Rational choice theory. That this theory suggests that individuals engage in computer crime because they believe it's profitable and low risky. So you see, that's straight away. I've not even opened it, you can see. 4 major categories of crime for cybercrime, theories for cybercrime. Oh, sorry. Another one here is a routine activity theory, then rational choice theory, opportunity theory, technology theory, and then crime displacement theory. I never knew about this one. Crime, you know about that crime displacement theory?
It's familiar. I've not really read that one, but it's familiar. It's a familiar theory, more like the liberalization theory.
Okay, so that's one. Then there's space transition theory it will fill the gap in explaining cybercrime. The space transition theory has been developed. This theory is presented and discussed in the chapter, so you can go and read about it. Then there's cybercrime in criminal. Okay, no, let me see if I can find another one. Institutional anomaly theory and cybercrime. Then there's strange theory and cybercrime, cited 18 times. Wow. Various criminal. So you see now, this is what he's saying. Various criminology theories have been used to explain different types of cyber crimes, and that is one thing because the core concept of cybercrime comes from criminology. So instead of me typing cybercrime theories, I could have just typed criminology theories and then the internet or criminology theories. So somebody can just look at the broader concept. That's what he's telling you. Various criminology theories have been used to explain various types of, because cybercrime is a subset of criminology theories. Okay, then cyber criminology and then space transition theory, since you see me said again. Okay, I'm not going to open it. I'm just trying to just show you, even without opening and reading, you can see that there's a possibility that you can find so many things in that area. Let's say somebody is doing a research on, let's say, this lady wrote to me, Elizabeth, said you want to do something on this service quality. Yes, I think Elizabeth, is that what you said? Is this service quality?
Yes, mobile apps for service delivery.
Okay, service delivery theories. Okay, so I'm just saying that whether there's a services theory. Okay, and then there's a theory of service delivery. This theory proposes that an amount of service a client receives is inversely related to their need and the amount of functioning a program has a program has is directly related to the amount of services provided. Okay. The dynamic theory of service delivery. In this thesis presents a theory of service delivery grounded in the operations management, marketing, and human resource literature. There's not quite a. There are three models of service delivery: human services model, public health model, and medical model. Okay, that's a little bit different. That's one thing can happen. You will end up entering into something that is different. So she is talking about service delivery, but it's very specific. It's about mobile app service. And if you look at the quality, you can just use the service quality theories, and that one too can give a quite a number of that one. Service quality theory is based on the idea that service quality is a measure of how well organization understands and meets its customers' needs and expectations. The theory is built on literature about product quality and customer satisfaction. So these are key aspects of it. We call the self-car model. I think I mentioned it before. A framework developed by in 1990s by Parasuman et al. The self-car model uses a questionnaire to assess customers' perception of a service along 5 dimensions. So it has the dimensions here: tangibility, reliability, responsiveness, accuracy, and empathy. But then then there's internal service quality. There's Oliver's theory of service quality. That's another person's own too. Okay, so theories and concept of service quality model, self-car model. So the 10 dimensional service quality where somebody uses it for his work. You see? So there are so many perspectives. So if I was going to use a self-car model, I can even go to Scholar. That's Google Scholar. Scholar.google.com. And then I can type service quality and mobile apps. So mobile app service quality dimension. So somebody has developed a model for measuring mobile app service quality. So that's a starting point. You don't even need to go over far. Somebody has done that one. Mobile app service quality dimensions and requirements for mobile shopping companion apps. Okay. Then there is modeling consumers' trust in mobile food delivery as perspective from technology acceptance model, mobile service quality, and personalization privacy theory. Remember, I told you that somebody can a combination of different theories. This is a combination of 3 theories. He's adding technology acceptance model to mobile service quality and personalization privacy theory. Okay. Then examine the key dimension of mobile banking service quality and exploratory study. So that one is interesting. This is a very good journal, International Journal of Bank Marketing. So not surprising. Okay. And then assessing the effects of mobile service quality on customer satisfaction. So it's not just studying mobile service quality, but it's looking at its impact on customer satisfaction. And the continued usage, that's another concept. Continuous usage, different concept. There's also theories for that one. Okay. I don't want to read anything here. I'm just trying to show you the possibilities. So this is what I'm trying to tell you that you can do. So you can search on the core concept you are trying to study. And that's why you should understand that concepts can describe a phenomenon. Concept describe a phenomenon. So you can search based on the concept, add the word theory or theoretical framework, and you see quite a number of ones that will come up. And you can then start reading around so that can narrow down to what you want to use. Comprende? Okay. Esther, are you asking a question? Okay, it's not doing that. Let me continue. Mr. Kwame now watching. How are you doing?
Fine, Prof.
Okay, thank you. How is the course treating you?
It's not easy. It's been a while since I left school, so
I know.
but I'll be fine.
Okay. Anyway, you are not like Natalie Sophia Kwaku. Hey, Natalie, are you the Kwaku that is my cousin? Or you are not here? Okay, so let's continue. Some of you have put the thing on, you are going to sleep. One of these days, we'll be here and you realize that we have written a test whilst you are asleep. Okay. Now,
Please, I had issues with my network, that's why.
So which of the Kwakus are you?
And please, I'm from Gamashi.
Are
Yes.
you related to Real Kwaku?
Maybe, but I may not know.
Eh,
Yeah,
okay.
despite being extended, so I may not know.
Okay. Anyway, okay. Phenomenal. So you have talked about the. So let's take another one of the theories that can also look at a concept. So somebody is studying something on competitive advantage, like we learned this week, and those of you who are in Prof first class, are you on chapter 4 or you are not in the strategy for business analytics? Are you on chapter 4 or you're on chapter 3?
We'll be doing chapter 4 today.
Okay, good. Then you come across this one. We did the chapter 4 on Thursday, so I think yeah, you come across this. Okay, so the resource-based theory is for competitive advantage. Good. And then one thing is that if you're studying resources of firms, most likely you're going to use the resource-based theory. That's why I say selection of theories one, the first approach. And it's a strategy thing you're trying to study. Now, class, I remember I told you that the book that we are using talks about resources being different from capabilities. You remember? Those of you in my class, Michael Nkumenko. Hey, no, you're not in my class anymore. Okay. So I try to explain that the resources and capabilities have a pluralistic definition in literature. Pluralistic means that different authors define differently. In my PhD, I was using Wade and Holland's definition, and they saw resources to be a combination of assets and capabilities. But the book that we are using for the strategy for analytics, it actually says that resources and capabilities are two different things, and they define them differently. But Wade and Holland says that they are all the two combined to call a resource, which I understand why they do that. Because they say that the other book calls resources is what they call assets. Assets are considered anything tangible or intangible which a firm uses in the process of creating, producing, offering its products and services to the market. However, the capabilities are the repeatable patterns of action in which we use assets to create or produce or offer products to a market. Or somebody will say capabilities are the repeatable patterns of action in which we use resources to create, produce, or offer products to the market. Now, according to what Barney said, the original proponent, the one who actually proposed this whole idea of the theory, he talked about the fact that resources have to be valuable, rare, imperfectly imitable, and not strategically substitutable. If you have these four key characteristics, we call the VRIN attributes. But I think the one that you have in your book uses VRIO, O being organized to create value. That's the last one. They changed the last one. Okay. So the heterogeneous and immobility. Now it means that heterogeneous means that the thing can be variable and rare. Rare not being rare in terms of ownership, but rare in terms of the functionality that you build around the resource. So I explained to them that if I have Word documents, Microsoft Word, and you have Microsoft Word, we all have it. We use just to type our assignments and our homework. But I can build an extra capability around the Microsoft Word, and I can then use it to design cards, invitation cards. I can even use wedding invitations. I can use it to design program brochures and print them, and they'll be excellently beautiful. Now, you are just using it to type your classwork and your assignments. What I have done is to go ahead and build a capability which is rare around the resource. So in terms of competition, I have a competitive edge over you. However, if I don't put in the measures to be able to make it imperfectly possible for you to copy it or for you to replace it, I will lose my competitive edge. That's what it's just trying to say. Now, to prevent something from being perfectly copied, it means that the thing has to have three isolating mechanisms. First one is path dependency or unique historical conditions. The way in which I came to access the resource, it happened in the past, and the past that I happened in, the decisions that allow it to happen, you cannot recreate it in the present. So the path of me coming to this particular point T is different from your part My part enabled me to gain some extra resources and come to own them or have access to them, but you don't have it. So when we start to compete, I can be able to deploy a superior capability to gain a better advantage because of the fact that historically I am better placed than you. Then number two, causal ambiguity. If only how you become successful, you the company don't understand it itself, then it's very difficult for others to come and copy you. But you also, you don't understand why you're successful. So sometimes the success of a company can be embedded in what you call a causal ambiguity, that we are not very sure of what causes the company to excel, but the company is excelling. Then this last one is social complexity. It's embedded in relationships, which is either with the people in the in the company or outside the company. So you are valuable, rare, imperfectly imitable, and then not strategically substitutable. We cannot substitute it. If you have these things, then you can be able to have a sustained firm performance. So that's it. Okay, now let's look at the second approach. So the second approach says that we have to select a theory based on conflicts and weaknesses, meaning that sometimes the weaknesses in a theory gives us opportunity to do new research. Now, theory, conflicts, and criticisms. There's quite a number of them. But we have to be able to do it and do it very well. You can type the name of a dominant theory you know and add the word criticism. And then you find different critiques that come up. Example, use a resource-based theory. If you use a resource-based theory, you end up having several criticisms that can propose what you can be able to do to a resource-based theory to be able to address those criticisms. For example, the resource-based theory was developed for a market environment in which we thought that the market was static. So competition between the firms could be defined and the resources could actually be well outlined. However, when you have an environment in which it's dynamic and it's volatile, firms have to keep on innovating and keep on changing themselves. So your current capability, which is very okay, may not be relevant to where the company is going. Hence, you need to deploy what we call dynamic capabilities. And the dynamic capabilities can help you to be able to achieve what you want to do. So that just tells you that one of the critiques about resource-based theory is this. And then the remedy, it comes from the dynamic capabilities theory. Okay. So the dynamic capabilities theory or model is an understanding of how firms develop and renew their resources to be consistent or congruent to the rapidly changing environment. The understanding of how these resources specific capabilities evolve through a set of possible paths is theoretically characterized as the capability life cycle, in which there are three key steps leading to our outcomes. The first step is the founding stage. Identify all the resources a company has right now. And number two, develop the resource through coordination, learning, and reconfiguration. And then number three, you get to a maturity stage in which you can exercise the resource to make it more tacit in nature and imperfectly mobile. Now, when you have done this very well, after some time, the resource will gain a maturity level. When you gain the maturity levels, either you renew the resource to give it a freshness, or you can redeploy the resource. For example, you open another branch in Kumasi, so you send the resource to Kumasi, or you can recombine the resource that you can combine it with other things so that you can be able to gain value. But there are times that you can also replicate the resource in a different market. So you just keep the resource just like this and replicate the same behavior in different markets. Then there are times that you may want to just retire the resource or retrench it and put it out of service. So this is what was mentioned as the dynamic capability model to support the resource-based model. Yes, the hand was up.
Yes, Prof. I wanted to find out from the imperfectly imitable feature that you said, you yourself, you don't know how you are excelling, but you are excelling. That's why people cannot imitate you. My question is, if you don't know why you are excelling, how would you be able to defend it or protect it?
Because you keep on doing what you are still doing and you're still successful. Whether your manager left or not, you didn't manage, you are still successful. Okay, so let me just give an example. Suppose you have a football player, and then like Messi or Ronaldo, and you keep on you are keep on winning the league. You take Ronaldo out, but and you still win the league. You bring Messi in, you win the league. You take Messi out, you are winning the league. Now you realize that it's not about Messi, it's not about Ronaldo. There may be something that is around the system that has been created that is working. Do you understand me?
So if you don't know what exactly it is, would you be able to do it better, or the fact that you don't know it is what makes you gives you the competitive advantage?
So what's important is that you run a business.
No, Prof.
And that's why you're saying all these things. Okay. So when you get to a point where everything is working and generating value, you don't want to break the boat. So far as you see that the boat is still not sinking, why would you want to break the boat? So you keep on doing what you are doing and then still do it better. You keep the motivation high, you keep on doing that. Now, there are firms that can pinpoint one thing that is the most important thing that made the whole thing work, because there's a confluence of different factors. And you cannot say that this is the only one. For example, you have the person has better budget than you. The person has better, others have better budget than you, but you are still doing better than them. Others have got better resources in terms of technological resources than you, but you are still doing better than them. After some time, you realize that it has nothing to do with all the things that you thought you were, but maybe there is a way that you have been able to balance the effects of these resources in a manner that makes them click and work together. Do you understand? There are firms that are like that. I'm not saying that there are a lot of them, but you get to a point that you can't say that it's only this person that makes it work. Okay, let me use this. Let me use this church as an example. The church is a better example. When you go to Winners Chapel, in the one, not the one in Ghana, the one in Nigeria, Bishop Oyedepo says that one person cannot just get up and say that he's the one who is funding the church or moving the church. The person says that person, even God will kill you, because it doesn't come from anybody. God is moving his machine and he's making the machine work. And he knows how God is just doing that, because at the end of the day, they are just responding to the love of God, and God is just doing what he wants to do. So Winners keeps on, especially the main church, keeps on breaking records and breaking records and breaking records in terms of their growth, in terms of what their expansions into things. They are building one of the largest auditoriums you can ever think. And before the thing could finish, just booking about 10 Guinness World Records. Now, when you have and this is not the government has even approved their runway, that they should have their own runways. An unprecedented impact. Covenant, he said the same thing we are doing here. We put the same principles in Covenant University. When they began Covenant University, they never thought they would to become anything big in Africa. Covenant University, even in West Africa, tops us, and then it goes to Africa. And I think number 6 or number 3 or something like that. And they keep on having a kind of blessing around them that is very difficult for you to pinpoint. Firms come to a place like that. I'm not saying that you don't know that if you don't pay workers, don't come to work. You are paying workers, yes. You are doing all those kind of stuff. Others are also doing it, but it's still not getting the same value. You have been able to find a good mix of them, and they are working at that point in time. But what I'm just trying to tell you is that whether it will be there for 7 years, 20 years, it's a different story. Doesn't mean that consistently for 20 years, it will never come down. It could come down. So causal ambiguity means that when we do research, we can't pinpoint to say that this one factor is the only thing that is really driving an institution. And even if there's all the factors are there, it seems that they are combining in a particular measure that is able to do it very well. Lastly, let me use another one coming back to Ghana. Gentleman who was talking, are you married?
No, Prof.
Every example I use about you it doesn't work. Okay. Have you eaten your mother's jollof?
Yes, for this one, yes.
Good. And they are eating jollof from other females too.
Sure.
Do you realize that for certain specific females, what's your mother, you have eaten more of it, that's your mother. But if there's a lady that you have been also eating her food more of the times, you realize that no matter what happens, the day there's something changes in the food she cooks, you will be able to tell.
Sure, yes.
Good. But if you ask the lady, she will tell you that, oh, today I just change this thing. Because consistently, there's a way the person has cooked, and it gives. If you can stand by the lady and do the same thing, you may not get the same output. Because some of the things is tacit. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Very true. I get it now.
It's tacit. It's embedded in tacit processes. It's not codifiable. Codifiable means I cannot write it explicitly. For example, if I tell you to sit on, do you know how to ride a bicycle, not motor, bicycle?
Yes, Prof.
If I tell you to teach somebody how to do balancing on the bicycle, it's very difficult. The person can even watch the video, it will still not get it. Balancing comes by sitting on the motor, by the bike, and you developing your own skills to know how to be able to stay straight on the bike. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? No matter how much video that they tell you. Because people's weight and mannerism, some people, when they sit on the bike and they look at the floor, they think the floor is very far and they get scared. I hope you understand. Louis, please, I'll come to you. When I'm not
I get it now, Prof.
Yeah. I'll come to you. You put your hand down and bring it up. Okay, now we have reached Louis. Please talk.
Okay, Prof. So my question is,
You even have a question. Please hold on. I'm teaching somebody, I'm flowing. I don't like interruptions.
it's related to this same
So let me
issue of
finish.
what I'm
Let me
using.
finish.
Okay.
So, pardon, I've shown you three things that. So one is about tacitness of the knowledge. That so you can't go and open people's head and take it out from it. What makes a coach talk to his fellow bench, fellow assistant coach and know that this guy should come in at the right time, and that when someone like what's his name, Jordan goes in, he can go and score the winning goal for us. Sometimes it comes from a lot of tacitness that has nothing to do, but he can do the same thing another match, it won't work. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Good.
Sure.
Good. And the same thing with the special one too, Moreno. How he can be able to pick different people, teams that they are not expensive, players are not expensive, they still be doing magic with them. But he gets to a place that they struggle. But what I'm just trying to emphasize here is that it's very difficult for causal ambiguity. It means that there is ambiguity about the causes, that the causes are not perfectly determinable, even though we know them. But it does not necessarily mean they always work. Somehow this company, it clicks for them. Somebody calls it luck. But that's like the company said, please, there's nothing like luck. We just be working and it's working. Okay. Now Louis, what's your question?
So, Prof, can we say that? So that's why someone can be doing very well in a particular company or somewhere, and the person is being transferred to a different company, and that same person is doing very bad. Can that be an example?
No, that one is that one is this one. Let me show you. That is the last one called social complexity. You are saying the person has to connect with other persons to make it work. So they need. Louis, are you in my class?
Yes, Prof. I'm in your class.
But this thing I use the guy to explain the company that the MD travels with his people all the time to explain it. Yeah. So
it's Padmore. It's Padmore still asking a question, not me.
Okay. Padmore is the one who was asking a question. Okay. Good. So then Padma is one. I don't know. Okay, let me continue. What I'm trying to say.
I've been in your class. I've been in your class, Prof.
And you are still asking this point. Maybe you were sleeping at that time. Anyway, so and those who are not in my class, you maybe I don't know whether it's over your head or it's in your head. Please, when you have a question, raise your hand. Okay. What I'm just trying to say is that I spent 5 years, 4 years of my life studying the resource-based theory. That's what I use for my PhD. So I really know it in and out. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that social complexity is what you were talking about. The fact that it has to be in the presence of other resources for the thing to work. That's social complexity. Causal ambiguity means that we can't be able to explain why it is working. Social complexity means that it's embedded in relationships. So the relationships they have is what makes it work. But they are intertwined because sometimes the relationship becomes very complex. People really don't understand why he and the boss click very well. Somebody said, oh, they went to the same school, but the other people went to the same school in the same office. No, there may be something else that binds them together. Anyway,
I get it, Prof. Thank you.
okay. So with the second approach, when you criticize, when you look for the critique can help you. So you can type technology acceptance model like TAM and type the critique, and the critique will also lead you to another type of theory. So for example, this is a technology acceptance model. This is your original formulation. The original formulation, in fact, okay, this is about the second iteration. I think there's an original formulation that has other variables before it comes to the perceived usefulness. But let's use this one. Perceived usefulness and the perceived ease of use influencing intention to use a technology and then leads to actual use of the behavior. So its intention is different from the actual use of the behavior. Now, according to Davis established this in around 1989 out of looking at different things in society. Then I went to take that one and I applied it to my work where I was studying why traders in Ghana adopt why traders in Nigeria adopt mobile phones and use it for m-commerce activities. So what is m-commerce adoption? So what I did is that I read from the literature that when perceived ease of use is there, it can also influence perceived usefulness. That one I read from literature. It wasn't in the original formulation very easily, but with time, people found out that perceived ease of use can also affect perceived usefulness, and then can lead to also a reinforced intention to use. So if something is easy to use, your ability for it to assess that it is useful is easier. Yeah, I hope you understand that. So I said that, okay, perceived ease of use of the mobile phone can then influence the usefulness. And the usefulness, I was looking in terms of cost, communication, and convenience. Okay. Now that usefulness can then lead to our adopt, my decision to adopt, and then go to let me use my annotation so that I can see very well. Sorry. So perceived usefulness comes to perceived use of perceived use of to perceived usefulness, and then it goes to intention, and then goes to the extent of usage. Now, this is what, and we are also saying that usefulness can reinforce the extent of usage. When I say, even the resource-based theory said, when you find something to be useful, you tend to repeat the behavior. So usefulness can reinforce it. That's why you have it. Now, when I find something useful and I use it, then it can let me get some outcomes, and that will lead to certain impact on the micro trading activity, enhancing my communication, enhancing my trading process, and then reforming my structural processes. Means that I can there can be disintermediation. I can now, because of the mobile phone, I can now talk to some of the people directly by that passing through a middleman. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, if that is done well, the impact can reinforce the usefulness. If you are getting better impact out of it, then it will tell you put more investment into that. For example, you started using one phone. As you started finding benefits of using the phone, you start, oh, let me buy one for my employee so that it can enhance our activity. So it's reinforcing the usefulness. However, all of this starts from the knowledge of the adopter. The adopter has to be knowledgeable about mobile phone technology. Otherwise, if we give him the phone, he will not get any value out of it. And then one thing we have to understand is that please, one of them is supposed to be affordability. It's not accessibility too. So one is the factors in the environment, how government establishes tariffs so that the mobile phone usage activities is affordable. And then where we have what do you call network coverage, accessibility, influences everything in the box here. Good. So this is the application of the model in my own study. I did it with a lady called Rakia in Nigeria. She was doing this for a master's in Manchester when I was studying in the University of Manchester. I used to teach too. So this was coming from Rakia's master's thesis. Good. So sometimes if you do your thesis very well, your supervisor can publish with you. And it's very good for those of you who are thinking of PhD in future. Good. So what happens is that we are arguing that for you to be able to use the phone very well, you need to be knowledgeable. But even if you are knowledgeable and you have what that is most expensive for, if you don't have affordability and accessibility, it will have an influence on the value you get out of it. If I'm in an area that is limited accessibility, I may get limited value out of it. That's it. So we developed this one as a conceptual model, not as a theory. So I took the theory and then I conceptualized it to fit my study. That's why you create conceptual model. So now I'm suggesting this relationship, and I carry it to the field and going to do the study. But why am I doing that? I did that because there were critiques about the technology acceptance model that it doesn't look at the external factors that actually can affect the use. It looks at only the internal factor, being the individual using it. But the individual doesn't have money. Or the cost of tariffs are high. It will affect the individual's frequency of making calls. Is that not true? It's true. So one of the things that you need to look at the fact that if I've done a theory, it doesn't necessarily mean that the theory is working perfectly in all circumstances, in all conditions. The external factors are not being looked into. So I extended it in my study. That's what I'm trying to point out. So that's one of the reasons why when you choose a theory, you can choose it from the critiques of the current theory and then modify it. Okay, let's continue. Now, if I continue, let me just clean the notations. Okay. Continuing on, there are several theories that have changed over time because of what we call the time value of theories. Time value of theories means that when the theory was postulated, over time, different new knowledge has come and it has caused us to change it. For example, 1992, DeLong and Macleay come up with IS success model. Then in 2022, 10 years after, they came to change it. Theory of planned behavior came up earlier by Arjen and Co. earlier. Then Todd later came to do the decomposed theory of planned behavior. Term has been changed several times by different authors. Term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. And each time people are adding different variables to it to be able to suit different applications. Applications and how they use it in for different types of research or trying to explain different phenomenon. Good. So this is the theory of reason action. The theory of reason action was developed by Arjen and then Fishburne in 1975. Now, they say the attitude towards a behavior and the subjective norm, the norms in society that can affect you, peer norms, competitive norms, norms by the industry you belong to, norms by the family you come from or the tradition you come from. All of this can actually influence a behavioral intention from the behavior. This is not a technology model. This is an action theory. This is why people act a particular way, a behavioral theory coming from psychology. So Arjen then argued that attitude will also lead to intention, and then a subjective norm will also lead to intention and lead to behavior. Somebody can say, it seems Davis picked the idea of behavioral intention from here. Yes, possible. That's one of the things that people learn from other theories. Then later on in 85, what is this thing about 10 years? 85, Arjen alone himself came back and said that I said attitude and subjective norm will go to intention. But I also realizing that sometimes people have got unique conditions to their, which is personal to them. Situational impediments. It's like in Ghana, we say your situational impediments, like income, that can affect the intention. You may have good intention, but the income can limit you to perform the behavior. And then those behavioral control measures can affect the intention to perform the behavior and the actual performance of the behavior. So we go to Accra Mall. Accra Mall is a good place to go to. All of us, our attitude is high. We are going to expect sales. We are going to eat good food. Then we go there. We may be going there because our peers are going there. People from our office are going there. People from the class are going there. It's also society. It's a holiday. Ghanaians are going there, so I want to go there. Competition. Maybe you are chasing some girl. The boys will also be there, so you want to try and go and see. So competition can send you there. Whichever it is that send you to Accra Mall, you are going. Then we get to Accra Mall. It's about showmanship. The money in your pocket will affect the actual what you do in Accra Mall, depending on what the money in your pockets. So somebody will say, you buy it, I'm just doing window shopping. He doesn't have money. So, but the person who has money is having better, he's now being able to buy the pie and the things to the Barcelos and stuff for the lady and stuff. And our beggar price has gone very high. The big one mark is now 160 Ghana. Hey, so just for the sandwich, you even run away. So at the end of the day, when the guy gets there, he realizes that things are not good. This my small go I was eating crab 30 Ghana, I would have been okay. Yeah, I just can come around, I'll just come and look at things. At least I was also in Accra Mall. I'll take pictures. That's what most people do. Take pictures to show that you were here some. So the behavior that you exhibit in Accra Mall is dependent on your income. Sometimes the behavior you exhibit in Accra Mall is dependent on time you have. Have you seen people go to Accra? They just go and pick something, just drive and leave your place. Sometimes the time, that's the only place they'll get that product. Or they are their way to maybe Kaswa. They stop here, they buy the thing and continue their journey. So sometimes time can be a variable. But it's situational. All these are individual level analysis that we are looking into. But then but this thing that you are seeing here, somebody came back and said that, look, there could be so many other factors. So in 1995, again, 10 years. Taylor and Todd, please don't go and say that there's a 10-year rule. There's nothing like a 10 years, just coincidental. Now, what is that? Almost 10 years, 10 years. Now, Taylor and Todd came to argue that when we look at the research, I've been compiling all the different other research that have tried to apply against him. And I'm seeing that attitude can be broken into perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and compatibility with the person. Then subjective norm can be looked at in terms of the peer influence and then superior's influence, somebody who is above the person. So sometimes your office is above you, so they can influence you, or the society may be above you. So peer influence is when your own social reference are coming from your network, but superior influence is somebody higher than your network is coming to influence you. Then the perceived behavioral condition control comes from resource facilitating conditions like finance, technology facilitating conditions like maybe times because of the limited network or something like that. You are going to buy a young phone, but you want to be able to roll with the big boys, and you are struggling. And there's self-efficacy. You yourself, you don't understand the computer. You are afraid of computer. So your own self-assessment, your self-efficacy, the ability to be able to demonstrate readiness to use can affect it. So all of these things become perceived behavioral control. Now, Taylor Dems came up with this because after some time, they have been able to determine that various researchers are pointing to these variables and they can be put together as the decomposed theory of planned behavior. What does decompose mean? That we are taking the variables and exploding them. What is inside the variables? That's all that he did. And Taylor and Todd, 1995. That's it. Then another person came to take it and applied it in his work in 2017. And this is that he adopted it as a research model. He was using to study the brand love. And he was pointing that brand love is one of the main objectives in brand management. But factors influencing brand love are scarce. So he wants to constitute the factors that influence brand love. And he came up with the fact that, one, the attitude towards the brand, the subjective norm, whether peer or superior towards the norm, and then the perceived behavioral control, things about the brand that can affect the person's intention, but affect the person's intent individually. One, affordability. Remember I mentioned affordability earlier. Then ability for the brand to act like a human being, propensity to anthropomorphize. That's what we mean. That it can have behavioral traits. So sometimes people even refer to brand as he or she, and then they make the brand even develop a mascot or an idea, an ideology that looks like it's a person or it's an entity that you can identify with. So when people can identify with a brand and they are willing to stand with the brand, like how somebody wear Michael's Manchester t-shirt and be wearing it and be willing to even die for the t-shirt, even while the players are sitting somewhere elsewhere. They have treated the brand like a human being. Now, so what then you start realizing is that these things is what he said it will affect the love. But he realized that there could be a moderating variable. Moderating variable has to do with what can make a thing have a higher love or lower love. That means that it can accentuate the outcome you are trying to look at. And he said that the brand love can be higher if there's higher involvement and can be lower if there's lower involvement, which is the truth. The ladies can tell us that this is true. If there's higher involvement and you are not the other variables are not setting for you, the brand love will be low. But if there's higher involvement, some people have got higher involvement, but the attitude is bad. So that one, the love is lower. And then the subjective norm is lower, so it can affect. But the involvement here was trying to say that if the involvement is right, it sets very well, and it can actually increase the love or heighten the love. Then, if love is heightened, the propensity to forgive is also good. Forgiveness can be seen as an outcome that we can see after the love. Okay, so this is somebody's study. I'm not saying that this is for luxury brands. I'm not saying go and use this one to study your relationship. This is just for brands, not human beings. There's other ones for actual studying human beings. Okay, then later on, a gentleman called Venkatash, who was supervised by Mavis, Davis. I think he also went to MIT. And then some of the other big guys, Morris and co. So Venkatesh did a PhD in which he looked at all the acceptance theories and then tried to understand what is the characteristics about these acceptance theories and was able to establish that there was something unique about them. They have certain factors that is almost the same. And after studying them for some time, he came up with this model called the unified theory. I'm bringing all the theories together of acceptance and use of technology. So they has performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, and facilitating conditions. Performance expectancy is the perceived perceived usefulness. Effort expectancy is perceived use of use. Social influence is what we are saying subjective norm. Facilitating conditions is what was used to be called perceived behavioral control. So the top part is just the same as what's the name? Agents model for part of agents model which has been added to it. So that the decomposed model that you're talking about, that's the top part you see. But then he pointed out that all these researchers have not told us that there are some variables that could actually accentuate it or make the outcomes become lower. In terms of they'll have different experiences. So they said they are called moderators. And as I mentioned in the other one, he said that for technology for technology to be reviewed and to be adopted, and then the intention to adopt it, what could actually influence it is that men and women will have different experiences. So gender, different age group, Gen Z, Gen Y, millennials, and Generation X will have different experience outcomes or experience. Then the experience with prior technology, the experience the person has. Somebody is already knowledgeable about iPhone. If you give me a Samsung, his experience will be different. So that kind of his prior experience can actually affect the behavioral intention and use behavior. And voluntarity or voluntariness, whether the thing is being given to the person as in a voluntary manner or the person is being put under condition to use it, whether you like it or not, you have to use it. So it's coming under compulsion. That could also affect the intention and the use of behavior. So this is what you put together to be able to call the unified theory of certain use of technology. So if you are coming to do a current study and you want to study adoption, and you say you want to use TAM, I'll be asking, why would you use TAM? Why don't you use the one that has an umbrella effect? An umbrella effect. So they can be able to have all those variables. If you don't use some of the variables, then they can explain why. Okay. Now, this is somebody picking the UTH model and applying it to study robotic surgery. Now, he is saying that effort expectancy, he's going to look at it from three things: perceived usefulness, extrinsic motivation, and personal outcome expectations. Remember when I was teaching you earlier, I told you that the theory, I'm selecting a theory. One of the things I said is that, do you know how to measure the theory or the items that have been used to measure the variables in the theory? And this is what you are seeing. The guy has here. So he has got extrinsic motivation, personal outcome expectation. Effort expectancy is using complexity and ease of use. Then social influence is using subjective norm, social influence, and image. Then facilitating conditions is calling it facilitating conditions again, and then perceived behavioral control. This is somebody said this application. I'm not saying that's the actual theory. This application, so you may modify it in any way you want to modify to suit his work. Now he is saying that this one goes to behavioral intention and then comes out of the use behavior. So he has it like that. Behavioral intention, the actual use. But he's pointing out that the actual use can also inform leadership or reinforce the leadership that the leadership within the organization. And leadership can then come and have an influence on the behavioral intention that will continue to use it. Then he also says that the general attitude towards using the technology can also be a factor. So he separated general attitude from performance expectancy and then had it on his own. Okay. So what you have here is the extension of the theory of the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology. Okay. So why did the theories change or progress? One, a requirement in science to advance knowledge, current theories that cannot explain society, new trends and behavior that's happening or market demands, then change in the context. The thing was done in the US, when you take it to a different context, maybe developing country context, new perspectives could come up. And when new understanding is gained by the researchers through research, and that's why sometimes it doesn't. Like the Delon and McLean, they themselves came back to change why new understanding has been gained by them. And even UTAUT, the UTAUT model, there's UTAUT2 and UTAUT3. I don't know what there's even for. Other people have suggested other variables to be added, and they themselves have come out to even appreciate some of that and even vouch for some of the new additions that they have actually argued. Okay, so these are the reasons why theories progress. Yes, Natalie. Natalie, go ahead.
Prof, please, my question is on the previous slide we were on before you moved to this one. The last theory, the UTAUT. So, Prof, please, the leadership, that variable, are we looking at leadership position in the market with regards to the product of with regards to the technology being?
Please, this one is more about it being applied in robotic surgery. So it will be better for us to read the paper and check how they defined it. If I go ahead, because it's not part of the model, the person defined it himself. And look at it, it's put in dotted line. So it means it's not a primary variable he's studying. He's trying to tell you that it has an effect on the whole thing that they are studying. And remember, UTA2 model is for an individual level occurrence, meaning that it's affecting maybe the doctors who are doing the robotic surgery. So these are the factors that influence the doctors at the individual level. But they are coming, this leadership could be coming from the hospital leadership that is coming on the, but I've not read the paper. I have to be honest about it. So when you get a link, you can read the paper and check for yourself. But I can't say that this is the current model. This is somebody's conceptualization of the model to fit his study. I remember I taught you these things, that this is, when you take a person's model, you can read the literature and add more variables to suit your study. So this is an additional theory plus literature generating this one. So somebody can even use the UTA and drop all the gender, the age, the experience, and voluntarity. He doesn't need them. He's not studying that. Those are not part of his research questions. He won't study it. He will just study the four and see how they lead to this. But that's what I'm saying, that when you are adopting a theory, you have to ask yourself, what aspect of the theory are you adopting? Are you adopting a full thing or part of it? Okay. Please, have I answered your question? Natalie, have I answered your question? Okay, she's gone off. Okay. The last area has to do with the fact that theories can come from a particular discipline. So there are social science theories. There are even theories that people say they are information system theories, economic theories, accounting theories, management theories. But depending on the concept, the nature of the question or maturity of the issue, researchers tend to borrow from other disciplines. So if you look at it, you go to this website, IS theorize it. It has a list of, I think it's managed by one of the universities abroad. It has a list of so many different types of theories and what they can be used for, and then the critiques for the theory, so that you can know what to address. Okay, so there could be so many of them. You could actually use the Google to be able to get them. The first one is diffusion innovation. That tries to look at how innovation is communicated through channels over time and through members in the social system. It talks about the fact that there is knowledge, persuasion, decision, implementation, and confirmation. These are what the person goes through. However, for them to happen, there are different types of categories. There are those who are innovators who go very early for the software or for the technology. Then there's early adopters. They may come in after the innovators have come in, about 13%. And then you have got early majority, the majority that will join later. Then late majority, those who come late, and the last one, the laggards. So, but to be able to apply it to do research, we're just talking about the fact that there are different dimensions in understanding human behavior. The first one is relative advantage, which is your perceived usefulness. Then compatibility, which has to be consistent with existing values, past experiences and needs. Is it convenient? Is it consistent? Do they talk to each other? Then complexity, difficulty of understanding and use. And triability, the degree to which it can be experimented on a limited basis. Okay. And then observability, can you see results actually coming out when you implement it? Okay. Then, among all these 4 or 5 factors, the argument has been that, that technical compatibility, complexity, and the related advantage have been the dominant factors that tend to influence information system applications. And that's why you are stating only 3. Okay. Then I'm going to try plan behavior, which I talked about that earlier. And I explained all of them, societal norms and peer norms. I mentioned all these things. Okay. Then we have the culture policy technology framework, which is an environmental level for me. It's not about the organizational internal mechanism, but it's more of the external environment. So those of you who want to measure external environment, like we learned in our strategy for business, you can use a model like to measure external environment. The culture in the environment, the policy in the environment, and the technology in the environment. Okay. Then you are going to have studies cultural dimensions, which talks about how different types of societies have different types of cultural traits. And then he used the number of dimensions, the power distance, to the degree to which hierarchy is acceptable in that society, or power should be distributed equally. Then individualism and the collectivism. The collectivism is more of those who see themselves as a family, like in Ghana. And then individualism is those who expect people to take care of themselves and their immediate families. Okay, then you have also got masculinity versus femininity. Masculine society are more competitive, whilst achievement-oriented and assertiveness, whilst femininity are more modest, consensus creating, and they're drawn to that type of behavior. Uncertainty avoidance means that the person can handle risk. Okay, uncertainty avoidance dimension expresses the degree to which members of society feel uncomfortable with uncertainty and ambiguity. Okay, so the last one has to do with technology organizational environment framework. That's the TOE, and this most of the students use this one. It's also has environmental variables, technological variables, and organizational variables. We call it interactionist framework. They interact the variables together. Why? Because they are trying to look at internal, external technologies and other enablers relevant to the firm in facilitating the firm's business and then business processes and creating value. Organizational context to the organization refers to organizational perspective, including formalization, complexity of management structure, availability of human resources, the slack resources that are available to the firm, the size of the firm, all of them come under complex organizational context. Then you have the environmental context that has to do with all the external factors or variables or influences that impinge on the firm, being pressure from competitors, social reference, accessibility, and readiness of resources provided by institutional foundations such as regulatory price policy and economic and technological infrastructure. So the first one was the technological content, the second one was organization, the third one is environmental. But somebody said, how do we measure these things? So what they did is that they tried to look at the variables and how they come together, and they put different factors under different categories because of the volume of research they were looking into. Now, an organizational factor, they said there are structural things of an organization, the operational things of an organization, there's human resource. So we can group the factors under any of them, or we can pick them, each of them uses it appropriately. And then you have got market-driven factors under the environmental context. And then you have interorganizational relations and then cultural factors. Last one, innovation attributes. Attributes has to be with the innovation itself. You have got relative advantage from, you see, there are some of them are pulling from other theories. For example, the innovation attributes are coming from DOI. And then the cost benefit considerations are perceived benefits, perceived obstacles and risks, and degree of switching. So the technological certification, right? IS maturity and interface standards. Okay, so this is what it's a bouquet that you choose from, but you may not end up choosing all the things here. You may choose what is relevant for your work. Louis, please go ahead.
Okay, Prof. So with a study like studying remote work adoption in an organization, can the TOE be one of the best theories to use for your study?
One of the what I can't get. Can the TOE? I didn't get
TOE,
it.
that, yeah. Let's say you are making a study on adopting remote work or adopting a certain way of working in
Okay,
an
remote work, you can draw from, remember my own that I did on telecommuting, can guide you. I used the TOE and I came up with my own variables.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so these variables are what you see, different types of research that people do. Sometimes people pick some of them from here, but it's not all the time that others pick from this particular type of model. They may use other variables that are also related to the distinct constructs you have here. So you may pick organizational context, you may pick motivation, and then environmental context. You may even look at government legislation and policies, and then innovation. You may look at the degree of switching. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the different theories that are existing in IS that you can be able to use for your work. The other ones which are going beyond the IS are those who try to bring different things from different models to develop something that will be specific for an aspect of IS. So we're seeing other ones that came from social sciences and we're applying, but this one, a model like the perceived e-readiness model, is picking from so many different managerial studies to develop something for e-commerce readiness. So it has two types. Say e-commerce readiness is a function of two things. This is Mola and Leka. Mola was my PhD supervisor, and Mola developed this out of his PhD. He and the supervisor. That so you need to look at e-commerce readiness. It is a function of multi-perspective audit of managerial, internal organization, and external contextual issues. Now, some of you who are thinking about developing models in your long essay, these are one of the best approach to develop models by putting them into categories of issues or factors or concepts. So you say they are managerial, internal organization, and external. So you're just going to show you how it gets its own. So he says that you can break these two into two constructs: the organization's readiness and the external readiness. Is the organization ready for e-commerce? Is the external environment ready? In the organizational readiness, he has got technological imperative as one, managerial imperative as two, organizational imperative as three, as internal. Then it goes on to that's the organizational readiness. Then at the external one, he looks at assessing and evaluating the external environment factors. Number one, government readiness, government market readiness, and then culture. Government readiness, market readiness, and culture. Okay then. ICT and e-commerce benefits model: operational, relational, and strategic. Operational benefit, this one was used by me myself. I think to be able to look at when you put ICT to things like commercial activities, commerce activity, what do you get? You have operational benefits, relational benefits, and strategic. For each of the papers, models, I mentioned the paper that actually generated it down there. Okay, please, when you finish class, remind me to tell. I'll tell you something about this slide. The slide called the interaction film. I'll show you something. Okay. No, yes. Good. Then the last one is the impact model. I think my mobiles and marketing paper, you have seen this one: incremental effects, transformation effects, and production effects. And it's coming from one of the papers I wrote. Yeah, but I also took it from somebody, the incremental, transformational, and production. I mentioned the person I took it from. So I'm just showing different things that people do, and they develop to carry out their studies. So this is like the one I was just saying. We have gone through this before, and I use it. So you see in the middle here, I'm using the ICT commerce model, and then the last one, I'm using the impact one. Then DeLorean McLean. Okay, the DeLorean McLean looks at if you see there's 92, 2002, and 2003. The variables are information system, service quality, intention to use, and then user satisfaction, net benefits. That if you want to look at the system and the benefits, whether a system is successful, you look at these 6 categories. So they came up with that information quality, system quality, and service quality. Remember the lady who wants to do Elizabeth? Leads to user satisfaction and intention to use, like the use part. So if you use and you're happy, it will increase the satisfaction and then to generate the net benefits for the organization. That's what it's trying to say. But I think they modified this is the 2002, 2003 one. But I believe that maybe if you read any of the papers that use the more modern model, Professor Dr. Owusu uses this model a lot. He's one of the people he uses it for his PhD, and since then he has used it for several of his work. So if he's going to supervise you, he can let you use this one to look at something that may be pertaining to analytics that will be relevant to you. The other ones are ICT for D models, that's information systems and information communication technologies for development impact assessment models. Okay, His and Muller, that's it. Okay, good. Fluctuation theory. So there are other theories of importance, so many of them. But this one coming from different types of theory. But if I use actor network theory, Prof, if I use it for his PhD, then the social theory, then the stakeholder theory, and unified theory of, I've mentioned this one already. But these are theories that are also used by different people. Tax technology fit is good. I've seen Dr. Professor Erica Fodazi using it before. Okay. But there are so many. I've given you 4 documents that has different theories. But I just wanted to let you understand selection of theories is about 3 things. Let me not get into the finance one. There's quite a lot of them, but I'll pause here. Selection of theories is about 3 things. The fact that you understand that you can take a theory based on the concept, based on the critiques of existing theory, or you can take a theory based on the discipline that you belong to. Any of the combination of the 3, no matter whichever one you use, one of them or 2 of them, is relevant for your work. It's relevant for your work. Okay. So thank you very, very much. There are quite a number of theories that I wanted to go to, but I'll bring some of them in as we go on. There's a lot on you there. So this one plus what you learned, the video I gave you, part 1. Part 1 was telling you how people thought about developing their theories and how it came about. Then part 2 talks about how you are the one going to select it for your work. By the selection, I joined it by the concept theory method framework, which I explained in the previous video, which is very good. I don't know how many, I wonder how many people have watched that video. Very, very good video for you too. But this one, I wanted to teach you and engage with you on that one because I knew that there may be questions that as I'm teaching you may ask. And that's what Louise and Natalie and other people have asked. Thank you very, very much. Louise, go ahead. You see, today you are the only one in class, so you and Natalie and Jessica Cry is not here today. Anyway.
Okay, Prof. My question is in relation with the PEM, but before that, you said we should let you.
Prof, please,
speak
Jessica
on
is
that.
here.
Okay.
So after you're done with the PEM, then I'll ask my question.
I said I should do what?
You said we should remind you to talk
No,
about the PEM.
I have to do it off record. So I'll stop recording and I'll tell you what I wanted to say.
Okay, then after that, I'll ask you a question. So
No,
when
ask
you're
my
done.
question first because I'll say it at the end.
Okay. So my question is comparing the PEM and the TOE, which one would be best for undertaking a study on remote adoption in the public sector?
Remote adoption of what?
Like remote work adoption.
Oh, you see, it depends on what level you are looking at it. The TOE helps look at the technological factor, organization factor, environmental factor, which is BEM. PEM looks at the readiness to adopt e-commerce. So what I know somebody has used it to study readiness to adopt blockchain. Do you understand me?
Yes, Prof.
Good. So you can use it to do like readiness to adopt something. So that's about readiness. Readiness does not mean that you are adopted though. Readiness are the factors that can influence it. You are on it and you are going towards adoption. But if you see remote adoption, it's a little bit different. So if remote, okay, number 2, do you want to finish in time? To finish in time, TOE is very simple and direct. The variables are usually direct for you to choose. And TOE, you have got the mixture of variables. You can read the literature and put anything in your T, put anything in your O, and put anything in your E, so far as they fit that one. But PEM has its own measures. Remember, it was telling you he has to be this and this, managerial, this and that. It has its own variables.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'll
Thank you,
teach
Prof.
next week about looking at how things are measured. Yes, Patricia.
Oh, okay. I have a last question
Yeah.
before maybe Patricia will come in.
Patricia, go ahead.
Prof, I have one more question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I said go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I wanted to take us back to the causal ambiguity.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if our study supports supernatural powers. So I want to find out because you see, some of us
Hey,
believe
never.
in some of us believe in
So it is
some
part of
powers.
it. It's part of it. It's part of it. All those
Okay.
things that you
Okay.
don't understand. I also financial
Okay.
part that an external hand. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay.
Okay, Patricia.
I say, concerning how theories are developed, how do researchers determine which observations or patterns are significant? Like, how do they know that, okay, so these observations or these patterns, they are important enough to form the basis of a new theory?
Okay, so usually when you do the research and you come out with an observation, you publish it. And then the scientific community will critique and give you advice and say that this is what your kind of views are. Somebody also does it in another country, you see similar things. With time, somebody then can come up and do a thorough study to check whether under which circumstances are the new variables being accepted. So if you go and look at Venkatash model, like Venkatash has a paper in which he reviews all the different additions that has come on the UTAT model and tells you that these are the different ways you can use it, and these are and when you can use, and even gives a guidance on why you should look at other people's recommendations for it. That is one approach. That's if the owner is willing to come back and accept it and do that. Secondly, sometimes too, people pick on what others have suggested. So somebody like this gentleman is talking about, he's studying remote adoption. I use technology acceptor, the TOE to do telecommuting, which is a little bit of something about remote too. So he can pick my variables, but my variables was done in Ghana for Ericsson Ghana. Somebody will even find something different if you use another one.
Okay.
Ericsson Ghana is an international company operating in Ghana. So when telecommuting expectations there is very different from Google. It's very different from Casapreco. It's very different from a public sector in which I have to look at this week like this. I was in meetings with the Ministry of Health and other partners and stuff. And we're looking at a proposal that we have put together concerning NHIS supporting telehealth. And we're looking at the different approaches that we can use for the pilot study, and whether we want to do start with a particular type of service being catered for, or we want to go open and then let all type of service be on it. And we have to look at the fact that maybe we can start with look at those who are coming for referrals, so that we can actually just in your chronic condition, in between the time and you're coming, your referral time and stuff, you can meet a person online. If you meet a person online, why are you meeting the person? What resources do you need? All kinds of things we're looking into. In that particular study, I saw the T available, the O available, the E available, but the E, I saw regulatory bodies were very, very in particular, talking about what should the regulations do and what regulation will limit us. At the end of the day, one person came to tell me that, Richard, you and your team should focus on the technology. We will focus on the regulation. Let politicians handle the regulation. You handle technology. So this is what happens in reality. But that is about the E part. But if you look at the study that I did with Ericsson Ghana, the E part doesn't have any legal thing inside. But right now I'm talking about telehealth again, and now something about tele or remoteness, and now the regulation has come into it. So if you go to a public sector and there is a rule that says that when you come to work, you have to come and use your finger to press a button. When you tell people to go and do remote work, you have to find a way of replacing the button to be an online button for them to go and click on that you have come to work. That's the thing I'm telling to the guy who wants to do a public sector thing. So do you understand? Do you understand the dimensions I've given the gentleman, Louis, and then
Yes, Prof.
Yes, sir.
Patricia, do you have a question? Or you have asked already?
No, so I'm just trying to pick the 2 points he gave. So the first one, to determine whether your observations or patterns are significant to form a new theory, you communicate with the research community
and
to
they are the
know
ones who
what
accept it. Yeah, you accept it.
whether they will accept it or not. And then the second one would be to pick
That
what
is through a
others have
publication.
said.
As the publication is coming, that if you go and look for a model called the process virtualization model, you see that the guy
Please, what?
process virtualization model.
Process and virtualization.
Coming from Overby. Overby produced it from his PhD. You see, the first about 6 papers, only him. He was talking about how when you have, I have a paper, I use it to look at DVLA going online and what can go online, what is not going online. So he was trying to say that when we want to virtualize a service that is being delivered, there are parts of the service that cannot be amenable to virtualization, others which are, and he gives you the variables that makes things very easy for you to virtualize it or digitize it, and some things which will make it more difficult. So that can be an assessment tool for any firm that wants to virtualize maybe a service. They can look at the dimensions of the dimensions they're proposing. Let me stop here. Let me just show you the model from the Google process virtualization model. Okay. Process virtualization theory. Okay. By Eric Overby. Let me just show it quickly. Okay. Then I can wrap up. Okay. So it's a theory that explains how and when a process can be virtualized. The theory was introduced by Overby in 2005. Now, most of you should know that some of the theories are coming just recently, 2005. Others are in the 80s. It means that there's more room to create new theories. I just wanted you to know that don't think that you can never create a theory. You can create it. It depends on how you can be able to defend it and then make it popular. So you were saying that the main constructs of it are the sensory requirements, relationship requirements, synchronism requirements, and identification and control requirements. If you read about it, it explains it very well. So if somebody is trying to say that government has a service, it's offline, they want to do it online, what can affect it? This would be a very good model. Do you understand me? Yeah. And later on,
Yes.
I'll find if you can find my paper with Joshua on Ghana, what's the name? The Ghana DVLA. It will be very good for the class, so I can share it with them.
Okay, Prof. I'm looking up.
When you see it, just send it to me, and I'll put it on the class platform.
Okay.
Thank you. Or you can ask Joshua for it. So that's one thing that you can do. Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So have you finished? I have to wrap up now. So I've finished sharing my screen. Okay. So any more questions? If not, then we'll be calling it a day.